Now, these first few questions, we've kind of dealt with the positive side of the Christian life. Now, the next question moves to the negative side from a non-believer's perspective. What is it about the Christian faith that would repel you? You see that about Christians and you say, no thanks. That would push me away from being a Christian.
One of the things is I think that sometimes they have a kind of tunnel vision view of life. They can't look at the other side of opinions that people have, or they'll trust the Bible to a T, to whatever the pastor or the minister says, to a T. It's like you got to take those things in perspective, at least in your own perspective, at least a little bit. You can't follow. It seems like following anything to that degree is just asking for disaster. That's why I think religion has caused wars, and that's people misinterpret things. People. I'm sure over time it's evolved and may have gotten better than it was when all those wars were happening. But there are things in the Bible that I could not agree with. If I was reading just the Bible and no one was there to say anything about it, I would say I can't believe in this.
Okay. Now you said a couple of things. I mean, you've said a lot, but one thing I want to pull out is that I don't disagree with you on. Christians, believing blindly, we should have blind faith, but there are some things we can do where we put too much trust in a person that can lead us into trouble. There's, you guys might have heard, probably, I'm sure before any of you were born, I think it was in the 70s, there was this church in San Francisco where the whole church moved to Guyana, and they all committed suicide when they felt like the authorities were going to come in and raid their compound. And that probably started out as a legitimate church. And those believers were not thinking on their own. They were relying on the pastor for their beliefs about life, and it really led them down the wrong road. So I totally agree with you. That is a possibility.
Yeah, that's one of those things that it seems like to some degree it seems like Christianity has become a cult, in a sense, like not in the fact that they do only bad things or something, or that it's a bad thing, but it's the people don't really think for themselves before they decided to be Christians. It's like they're Christians and then they kind of think about what Christianity is after they've already decided to become a Christian.
Okay. Now we've looked at the negative side of that. Well, actually, let me stay here for a second. I want to ask you a question just to kind of understand a little bit more about what you're saying. Would you say that Christians in general are gullible?
I'd say some of them are, but I mean, society in general, some people are going to be gullible, some aren't. But there are definitely those. There are some people who, they just don't know anything else. They've been brought up that way, and to me that seems like they didn't really give themselves the chance to look at the entire picture, and see both sides of everything, and see there are lots of religions out there. Who's to say that one's more right than the other, in my opinion.
Okay. That's fair. I love, the part that I love about that is if you're going to believe in something, you want to investigate it and know why it would be true above other options. Okay, let's see. Just moving on to the dark side, or maybe not the dark side, but the negative side of your view of Christians.
Okay.
Have you ever been hurt or turned off, or trying to think of some other words that came up with for this, offended or felt excluded by Christians? We've already touched on the excluded part, but how about being hurt or offended?
I get kind of offended when people, look down at me for not believing in God. Like they make it seem like, how can you not? It's like, well, I mean, how can you? That's like saying if you like peas. How do you like peas? You know, no one can like peas. You know, they're terrible. You know, it's that's one of those things, kind of like that. There's a time when I actually, to one of my friends who's a Christian, I told them that I'm Christian and Jewish because my mom's Christian. She came, you know, from a family that was Christian, and my dad's Jewish, and he came from a family that's Jewish, so that makes me a Christian and a Jew, in my opinion. So
By blood.
Yeah, by blood. You know, but he didn't get that. He didn't get that I was saying by blood, not by faith. And he was saying, you can't be both. It's not possible.
Yeah.
Well, to tell you the truth, I've actually talked to my dad about this, that there's where Judaism originated, it was in one area, and then they were driven out of there. So basically the only way to, you know, their heritage is basically, you know, being Jewish, not being the faith, but being the people who were Jewish, you know. And,
It's kind of like being a citizen of a country.
Yeah.
More than it is of a religion.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I mean, by blood, I think I consider myself a Christian Jew or a Egyptian.
Okay. Nice. I've never heard that. You just coined a term.
Yes.
You can Google that later, and it'll show up with your name attached to it. I like that. Okay.
Urban Dictionary or something.
Let's see. Okay. In G-rated terms, because we're only getting one perspective here. Okay. I want to broaden this out however we can by talking about your friends. What opinion would you say your friends have of Christians?
I would say they think it's ridiculous. They think it's, how could you do that? Like, probably they may hate it in some sense, that like for what it's done to you know, the wars, and you know what it's done to split society into, you know, into different groups, and they may think that those people are stupid. They may think that they're ignorant. They may think that, you know, I mean, I've never heard them specifically say those things, but you know, it kind of, you know, from how they say, you know, they talk about it. That's the stuff that I've picked up from, you know, how they talk about it.
Okay. Now I have a couple. You said a mouthful right there, and I have some other words that I want to throw out to you, and you tell me if these would apply or not.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, dismissive. Like
Yeah,
they just
definitely.
put it aside. It's like, okay, they're Christian, they believe whatever they want, but that's fine
Yeah,
for them.
that doesn't apply to me. You know,
Okay.
Like, what they think doesn't really apply to me.
How about pity? Would they have pity? Like those poor people, they believe that garbage, or
Not so much. It's more like I can't believe that, you know, that they think that. You know, it's more like unfathomable to them. You know, they can't fathom that.
Okay.
Being that ignorant, or being, you know, to them being that ignorant.
How about indignation?
What is that?
Like
Exactly.
just like they're repulsed by it. They're mad about it. Like it just
Yeah,
really
definitely.
sets them off.
They hate it, or you know, they're mad at it for doing certain things to society, or
Okay.
yeah.
From a cultural standpoint.
Yeah.
Like history.
Yeah, I mean,
standpoint.
I don't think any of them have been hurt by Christianity
Okay.
personally, but they may think that, you know, their personal belief is that, you know, it doesn't really matter to them. You know, they can think whatever they want. It's just, you know, I believe what I want, and if they want to go believe in something that's, you know, crazy, or you know, something like that, if they want to believe, you know, there's a flying spaghetti monster out there or something like that, you know, I don't care.
That would be a great, like...
There's a thing online, actually, about a flying spaghetti monster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm just saying
Look it up.
the next Batman movie, the villain is a flying spaghetti monster.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
It's pretty